Hi, Recap Corner here. Today, we're gonna be doing a big breakdown to discuss our film Cop Chop, spoilers ahead. Be prepared, watch out, and take care. The film opens with the tale of Teddy Muretto, frantically speeding down a bustling highway in Nevada in a stolen police car. His expression is one of fear and desperation, as if he's being pursued. Unfortunately, when he reaches a desolate, sandy road, the vehicle fails him and comes to a halt in the middle of the road. With a suitcase full of stolen money and crucial documents from his client, Teddy is forced to continue on foot towards the Nevada border. Meanwhile, near the same border, two police officers are seen conversing. One of them, Valerie Young, receives a gun from her superior, Coleman, and proudly displays her sharp shooting skills, mimicking the movements of a cowboy. Soon after, the two police officers receive word of a disturbance at a nearby wedding, near the Nevada casino. They promptly head to the location. Upon arrival, the situation is chaotic with several individuals brawling in front of the venue. In an attempt to bring order, Valerie fires a warning shot into the air. However, she is suddenly attacked from behind by Teddy, the aforementioned business consultant who had fled in a stolen police car and was now on foot near the Nevada border. Teddy ambushes Valerie from behind, causing her to collapse. Her partner then aims his weapon at Teddy, who reluctantly surrenders. Valerie then employs a stun gun to incapacitate Teddy and brings him to the police station on charges of assault. As the arrest is being made, a hitman named Bob Vidic observes from a distance. He has been hired by one of Teddy's clients to eliminate him for stealing money and valuable documents. Teddy's surrender to the police station is a desperate attempt to protect himself from the impending threat of Bob's pursuit. Upon arrival at the police station, Teddy is searched and the authorities discover the large sum of money he was carrying in his suitcase and confiscate several incriminating documents as evidence. During the search, Valerie finds a gunshot wound in Teddy's stomach and inquires about the cause, but he remains tight-lipped. Teddy is then placed in a solitary prison cell at the rear of the station, separate from the other inmates. Meanwhile, in another room, Coleman, Valerie's boss, receives a phone call reporting that his subordinates have been struck by a speeding car driven by a drunken individual. Eventually, his men bring the drunken driver, Bob, to the police station and detain him in a cell along with another drunk prisoner. It turns out that Bob is the hired assassin who is after Teddy. He intentionally gets himself drunk and collides with the police to end up in the same prison as Teddy. Upon realizing that Bob is in the cell in front of him, Teddy discovers that he is the hitman on his trail. In an effort to save himself, Teddy attempts to offer Bob twice the amount his client is paying to spare his life. Despite Teddy's offer, Bob refuses as he is a professional assassin who intends to carry out his mission. In the meantime, Bob's cellmate, who is also a drunk prisoner, begins to sober up. He doesn't seem to like sharing his cell with others and starts to harass Bob by teasing him. The prisoner, Bob, is a highly dangerous assassin. As expected, Bob quickly and fatally takes down his cellmate with a swift blow at noon. As the alarm rang through the police station, Coleman rushed in to investigate. When he arrived at Bob's cell, he found his cellmate lying unconscious. Bending over to assess the situation, Coleman was suddenly attacked from behind by Bob, who had managed to grab the gun tucked into his waist. It was all part of Bob's plan to create chaos and lure the police to his cell. Bob aimed his gun at Teddy and fired rapidly in an effort to finish him off. Fortunately, Teddy managed to dodge and hide under the bed. Valerie, who had a gun pointed at Bob, warned him that she would shoot him if he made another move. Bob reluctantly surrendered, and Valerie handcuffed him to the iron bars in the cell. She then helped Coleman and the prisoner in the same cell to be taken to medical care. Valerie returned to the cell and questioned Bob and Teddy. Neither one of them spoke at first. However, after Valerie threatened to put Teddy in the same jail cell as Bob, he was forced to divulge the truth. It was revealed that Teddy is an accomplished consultant, whose clients include the wealthy, influential people, and even members of the mafia. Unfortunately, he has committed fraud in the course of his work, taking advantage of his clients to unlawfully seize their money and assets. Valerie, with her sharp eyes, immediately looked over to Bob, who was sitting on the floor with one hand in handcuffs. Teddy continued, revealing that prior to his current imprisonment, Bob had turned himself into the police station in Nevada. Unfortunately, his surrender was met with corrupt cops who had been after the stolen money Bob had taken from his client. As a result, he was taken to a desert in Nevada, where the corrupt cops planned to murder him. Now, Bob is being hunted by assassins who are after the money he stole. Detective Dina confirmed that there was indeed a shootout and Valerie realizes that Teddy was telling the truth. To make matters worse, Teddy's client, who had sent Bob to kill him, also learned of his escape and sent more assassins to finish him off. Valerie and Teddy now find themselves on the run and must work together to outsmart the assassins and uncover the truth behind the stolen money and documents. With their lives on the line, they hit the road and embark on a dangerous journey filled with twists and turns, all while being chased by a relentless group of assassins. Will they be able to stay one step ahead and survive, or will they become the next victims of the hitman? However, Valerie does not know that the policewoman, Detective Dina Shear, is one of the corrupt cops working with other corrupt cops and hunting for Teddy. When Valerie asked about the shooting case, Detective Shear lied to her. Valerie then asked one of her police colleagues, Officer Kimball, to check Bob's profile in the police database. In addition to finding Bob's profile as a hitman, Officer Kimball discovered a profile for another assassin, Anthony, on the computer screen. Anthony is a notorious sadistic psychopath who kills his targets mercilessly. As Officer Kimball opened the door to the police station, an unexpected figure appeared before him. It was Anthony, the assassin whose profile had been visible on the computer screen. Before anyone could react, Anthony immediately pulled out a gun and fired at Officer Kimball, instantly killing him. He then opened fire on the other officers who had entered the room. Despite their attempts to take him down, Anthony moved with incredible speed and agility, making it impossible for them to stop him. Eventually, all of the officers were killed by Anthony's merciless attack. Valerie had just entered the room when Anthony suddenly turned and fired at her without warning. She leapt in shock and managed to dive into the prison cell, slamming the door shut behind her. Despite the barrage of bullets that Anthony fired at it, the door held firm, its bulletproof construction saving Valerie from further harm. Inside the cell, Valerie found herself in the company of Bob and Teddy. Though she had been saved from further injury, her stomach was badly wounded from the shot that had been fired earlier. She slumped to the floor, a look of pain and shock on her face as she gazed at Bob and Teddy. Officer Hubbard, who was accompanying Coleman, fired his gun at him and the inmate in the treatment room after hearing the sound of gunfire. It was revealed that he was one of the corrupt cops working for Anthony, a mobster who was a client of Teddy's. Teddy had tricked him, so two assassins were sent by different clients to kill Teddy. Outside the prison cell, Officer Hubbard attempted to deceive Valerie by claiming that Anthony had left the police station. Valerie was taken aback by Officer Hubbard's sudden outburst and remained suspicious of the information he had provided. Anthony and Officer Hubbard then decided to take more drastic measures and attempted to break into the prison cell where Teddy was being held. They consulted the police station's plan, and after some time, a loud bang was heard coming from the cell. Officer Hubbard had managed to punch a hole in the wall. Teddy, desperate to be released from the prison cell, pleaded with Valerie to let him go, promising that he would find the medicine she needed to cure her stomach ailment. With no other option, Valerie gave Teddy the key to the cell door and a gun, so he could confront Anthony before the wall was broken down. Bob informed Teddy that Anthony had killed his wife and children, sending Teddy into a rage. Without hesitation, Teddy left the cell and embarked on his mission. Suddenly, two police officers arrived at the scene, and Officer Hubbard and Anthony were seen trying to break into a wall. Before either of them could react, Anthony shot the two officers dead. Teddy then showed up from the other direction, brandishing his gun and ready to hunt down the two fugitives. Realizing that Teddy had lied to her, Valerie was forced to free Bob, who was still in the cell with her, and they both ran away. Meanwhile, Officer Hubbard and Anthony continued to hide in another room, desperately hoping that Teddy wouldn't find them. Not long after that, Bob quickly exited the room. Inside the police station, it was dark, and Officer Hubbard was running and trying to escape from Teddy's pursuit. Unluckily, Bob successfully caught him and swiftly grabbed the gun tucked in his waist. Bob shot Officer Hubbard's leg multiple times, and then used the cop's body to lure Anthony into the room. As expected, Anthony soon arrived, thinking he had shot someone. Then, Bob emerged from behind and a fierce battle between the two assassins ensued. It was evident that Bob was much younger than Anthony, who was already aging. The fight between Bob and Anthony had been intense, with quick movements and close calls. Suddenly, Teddy burst into the scene, gun in hand. Bob, recognizing the danger, managed to parry Anthony's knife attack and stab him in the chest. But before he could finish the job, Teddy fired a shot, forcing Bob to back away. Bob ran away quickly, leaving Anthony, who was on the brink of death. Teddy stepped up to him and shot him with full force. Teddy then doused the room with fuel, about to set it ablaze. He made his way to the kitchen, when Valerie suddenly appeared and informed him that the FBI was on their way to apprehend him. In response, Teddy flew into a rage and threw a jerrycan of gasoline towards Valerie. Seeing this, Valerie leapt out of the way and ran upstairs, with Teddy following close behind. At the top of the stairs, Valerie, an expert markswoman, shot directly at Teddy's chest. He crashed into the cupboard below, and remained motionless. When Valerie came down to see Teddy's condition, a policewoman partner of Valerie's named Detective Dina Shear appeared and shot her. The detective is known to be one of the corrupt cops who earlier targeted Teddy during a shootout with the FBI near the Nevada border. Valerie, who was sitting limply against a table, faced Detective Dina Shear, who was standing directly in front of her. Detective Dina was poised to fire a long rifle at Valerie. Fortunately, Bob arrives to save Valerie and immediately shoots the female detective. Bob then approached Teddy, who was already limp and unable to move. Bob continues his mission to eliminate Teddy by shooting him twice. Then he hurried off with Teddy's belongings, which the police had previously confiscated. At the same time that he was leaving in a car, the FBI arrived at the police station. At the end of the film, Bob is seen driving leisurely on a deserted street near the Nevada desert after successfully completing his mission. He had killed Teddy and obtained the money and documents that Teddy had stolen. Thank you for joining us into our review. We hope you had as much fun watching it as we did breaking it down for you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a video from us.